The NASCAR Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Shady Rays. Shady Rays is having their best deal of the year. Go to shadyrays.com and use code SGPN for 50% off of 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. We're also brought to you by SGPN's Draft Week. All week long, SGPN has you covered with draft props, mock drafts, and our live NFL draft watch party. So make sure to smash that subscribe button at youtube.com/sports gambling podcast.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
I wish we could tell you that we survived the big one as well, but here we are. It is the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. We are live today breaking down what just happened all weekend long in Talladega. It was, of course, the Talladega Superspeedway. Cody, brother, we've warned everybody. Just before we even got started, we said, listen, this weekend is going to be fantastic, and then you're going to hate it, and then you're going to love it, and then you're going to hate it. I got to tell you, I did exactly all that all weekend long. I know everybody else did as well.
Yeah, exactly. We told you there's 2 rules when you go to a super speedway, right? Rule number 1, fade Kyle Larson. And I said it on the podcast. I said for 95% of this race, he's going to look good. You're going to think, God, that guy was an idiot. Why did I not bet on him? And what the hell happens at the end, Rod? And I said it in the Discord. I go, here, it's coming right here. It's coming. And he fucking gets caught up in the next wreck every single time. He can't help himself. I love Kyle Larson, love betting on the guy, love rooting for him, love watching him drive everything under the sun. But he just cannot avoid the things at super speedways. It happened again. The other thing we tell you, of course, just go into this expecting to lose it all because you might have all 4 of your winning bets inside the top 10. You're 40-1 leading multiple laps. And then Daniel Hemrick shows up and fucks everything up. And that happens. So here we are. But, again, it's, you hit one big bet. So that was decent, right? We were really close on a couple other ones, had some good call outs. But, again, it's just super speedway racing. That's how it goes, right?
Yeah. Oh, and it definitely is how it goes. Ty Tiger 77 saying fading Larson was the reason he came out a little bit on top. I mean, you're absolutely right. He was looking fantastic for so much of that race. He was coming up around. He was ducking back down. He was coming back up again through the field. And then all of a sudden, he definitely faded off, got half of his car just munched right the hell off. It was absolutely brutal as our good buddy. And you're going to have to remind me, Kelly, I know this is not who you are in Discord. You're going to have to remind me what your name is.
Thugger88, I think.
That's right. It is Thugger88. Good call. Good call, Cody. That's why you're here. But here's the thing, right? With both of these races, both of the races this weekend, we saw just exactly what we expected to see as far as just solid, I guess, solid racing. I'll be honest with you. I had to join late.
Kelly's searching for profit.
Searching for profit. Oh,
it's hard to keep you guys all straight with your YouTube names, your Discord names.
I know it's like pseudonyms. But no, so I had to join a little bit late. I watched and I caught up, but there was a lot of this Cup race that I did the little podcast trick and I watched it on like 1.5, because for a better part of, especially that third stage when they were just riding around in the same, I mean, it was the only positions that were changing was when one line would get in front of the other. And then of course the third line would kind of duck out, and it was fun to watch it on kind of fast forward, because the third line would come up and then all of a sudden you'd see it go back, and then you'd see it go up, and then you'd see it go back. So it was like this little give and take move. But I will say that I did watch the Xfinity race through the whole way. I'm kind of glad I did, because that one had a lot more going on. And we talked about too, would the Cup race be that chaotic, right? As the Xfinity race was. So you got kind of contrasting styles of Talladega. Oh, and by the way, my tequila sunrise for this evening, I need to forget exactly what happened. So this is what it is.
Yeah, there you go. NASCAR Fantasy Live enjoyed the Cup race more than the Xfinity race. Said the Cup race was chaotic, but put on a decent show at the end until the end. But that Xfinity race seemed a bit dumber with 2 flips and the Hemrick block. I mean, the Xfinity race gave you excitement throughout. There's no doubt about that. And JDKB says because it was boring as fuck. But the Xfinity race is exciting throughout the whole thing. I mean, constant action. It gets to a point at some point where it's like, oh my goodness, they just keep wrecking and all these crazy. I mean, there was crazy wrecks in that one. Hopefully it seems like everybody's okay. But it's man, things were looking so much better in the Xfinity race till Hemrick decided to just fuck everybody and their brother over. But it is what it is, I guess.
It is what it is, unfortunately, and that is again what we were warned about for Superspeedway racing, of course. Real quick, we got to tell you about Shady Rays, though, because Shady Rays is so kind to sponsor us, and they have you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades. You get customizable snow goggles, so much more. They're an independent sunglass company, Shady Rays, that offers world-class products just as good as any expensive pairs of glasses that we have worn. Durable frames, extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. Plus, that's not all. Shady Rays gives you the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every single pair of sunglasses they got is backed by a lost or broken replacement. That means if you lose your pair, even seconds after buying them, they're going to send you a brand new pair. They won't ask you how you did it. You don't have to be embarrassed. Just say, hey, listen, I lost it. They're going to send you a brand new pairs. So wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they got your back after your purchase. Shady Rays, you can look good and feel good. To date, they donated over 20 million meals to fight hunger with Feeding America. If you don't love them, exchange it for a new pair or return them for free within the first 30 days. No risk when you shop with Shady Rays. Team's always got your back. So for you out there listening right now, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the year. Go to shadyrays.com. Use the promo code SGPN for 50% off of 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. See why these shades are rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people. 200,000 people is how many people wrecked out of the Xfinity race this weekend. I make so many Talladega night jokes. I really do. It's especially on Talladega weekend with Ricky Bobby. But tell me, Cody, that last wreck did not leave you wondering whether or not 2 guys were going to get out of their car and run and try to cross the finish line on foot.
Yeah, you were kind of concerned if Kyle Busch could make it back to the line, right? You got to make it back to the line, otherwise he didn't get that. That would have been something had he not made it back. Can you imagine the outcry and everything of Kyle Busch winning the race and then not actually winning the race? That would have been something. The GDK best race of the weekend was Friday. Yes, we were both reacting live in the Discord channel on Friday evening to the 2010, I think it was, race at Talladega. That was an amazing race. And it was a lot of fun to watch that. It had been a while since I saw that. And then, Thugger88 too, saying KFB and auto bet every week. Listen, we've been big on Kyle Busch since November. We gave it out as soon as the season was over, as soon as they dropped the futures. that Kyle Busch bet him at 20-1 to be the championship winner. He is now actually locked into the playoffs with 2 wins. That's how that works, NASCAR interns. But yes, he is locked into the playoffs now with his 2 wins and looking pretty good. And again, I know RCR didn't do great at Dover last year, so we'll see going into this week coming up how they do at Dover. Obviously, we'll break that down on Tuesday. But yeah, I mean, Kyle Busch, it's not. And I was listening to his post-race press conference, and he said that he's working 4 times harder this year than he ever has before. He feels like, I think that he really was, chapped last year. Like, I think he thought that Joe Gibbs didn't believe in him anymore. People didn't think he could get it done. He's going to RCR. They're a lesser team. He's not going to be able to do it over there. This is Kyle Busch going out. And he's like, not so fast, my friends. Like, and I think he's got to prove, which is what we talked about coming into the season. And he has shown that so far. So yeah, he's definitely going to be a guy to keep an eye on going forward. Yeah, it's, man, just what a race though.
Well, so listen, and I just to take a look at the top 10 of this cup race.
JJ
right?
Yaley almost got in there.
Oh, don't even get me started on that.
2009 F1 champion finishes 11th. Oh, I demand a recount.
Just outside. Well, I don't know. There's probably been plenty of recounts between now and then.
Well, yeah, I've seen a few things change a couple times.
Yeah, like I'm like, okay, here we go. Let's see how many. And then you look at the math, and it's like,
yeah, you don't even want to look for like an hour because it changes a few times. And
but it's been about an hour, so I think we're good to look.
Yeah,
now.
hopefully we're good at this point.
But no, you look at guys like Chase Briscoe who got up in it early, right? I mean, he was one of the early casualties of something. It almost looked like Tony Stewart was not going to make it at all through the rest of that race. But he ends up in 4th. Keselowski, who Denny Hamlin his way to the front, to the back, to the front, to the back, winds up in 6th. Eric Jones, we'll touch on him in a second, with 6th. William Byron, who I don't know that they said his name once through the entire broadcast. Maybe when he got hooked
up. Just gotta survive.
He just got to survive, comes in 7th. Bell, again, another guy that barely got talked about. Suarez, who got caught up in something early.
Yeah, well, and he just kept going to he was hanging out at the back for a long time.
He was smart. And then Todd Gilliland with another top 10 finish.
He is making a strong case for himself to be. I mean, he's most likely looking for a ride for next year, right? He's already lost part of his ride this year. That's why he's in the 36 car. He has been getting some good results lately. Some of them have been strategy, surviving the chaos like he did here. But again, hey, you made it there. So that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and again, it was one of those things where at one point everybody had a chance to do something. I mean, obviously you saw Noah Gragson up there for a little while before he realized that this was the big boys' playground, and he probably shouldn't be doing the things that he
both
does.
Both rookies were up there for a while. Ty Gibbs, man, he was looking good for a while. They were both hanging out up front for a bit.
Yeah, Brad K. Is Brad K going to get a win this year? Thugger88 asks.
Oh, man.
Hey, man. I can't count it out at this point.
Starting to lose faith a little bit. I don't know. Bristol in the fall, maybe he's going to get it there. Maybe I could see Brad winning like the Coke 600 or something. One of those races where you kind of just have to outlast people. And man, yeah, it's I'm getting frustrated betting on him though, because I've tried it a few different times here. He's looked good though. He's hanging out there. He's got to get it done is the problem. And he just can't quite seem to get there.
Hey, Brett K didn't do you that badly for DFS purposes, though.
No, yeah, he won me some money there. So
can't. Searching for Profit says Chastain was not at fault for that wreck. I'm gonna agree with you.
No, that's 100% was Noah Gragson's fault.
No, that was Gragson.
I mean, what? Okay, listen. If you're in overtime, first of all, nobody is lifting for anything. Period. Once you slip up, that's it. I mean, you have got to know that if you come back down, it's not going to go well. Gragson made the rookie mistake. He came down, and that's what was going to happen. And I feel like in the Discord I said it's going to be the 1 or the 42 that wrecks this field. They're the two that get together. I will 100% agree it was the 42's fault. Once they get that run on you, if you block late, we saw it yesterday with Hemrick. To a degree, Bubba said that wreck was his fault. Him and Blaney are really good friends, so maybe just trying to keep things on the, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at that one a little more to see who really caused that last one. But if you block too late, especially late in the race, nobody is lifting, and it's not going to stop for you. So, yeah, I agree that it definitely was Gragson's fault.
Well, and again, with Gragson, he should have known, and his spotter should have known. That's the one thing, too. Gragson himself should have known, but his spotter should have known, because if you get that high up and Chastain edges into you,
who knows? He might have not cleared him. I mean, he might have said they're coming, and it was just too late at that point. I don't.
Again,
knows,
it just when you look at it going that fast, obviously I couldn't tell you. I mean, it's like I'm not out there. That's exactly why I'm not out there, is because I can't make those kind of calls. But I will say that it just feels to me like when you're coming back down and you know you've given up that much of an edge, especially if you see that going in your rear view, you should not have moved that far down. And absolutely poor Blaney. Yeah. And for Bubba's sake, I will say this: that Bubba, I know that everybody wants to dump on Bubba, but he didn't make a bad move.
No, it was close, and that was, that was coming to it too. But it's just poor Blaney in the fact that nothing ever goes that dude's way. And that's why we said not to bet on. I know he looks good, but that's why we can't bet on him right now, because you could have said that for the last. I think he's on a 56 race, winless streak now. Most of those 56 races, you could have made a case for why he could have won the race, and it's never falling his way. And that's why guys like Blaney, guys like Truex, if they win, that's fine. And then maybe I'll bet on them after that. But I'm not going to keep just trying to hit them and keep missing and keep missing. I did that with Blaney all last year. I'm done with that. It just, whatever. But and JDK says desperation move by Bubba. I know he's not a Bubba fan. Again, that's when you're coming to the end like that, you do have to block. You do have to make your runs. It was close. If he could have blocked it, maybe he thought Blaney would give him a little bit of room, but you can't expect that again. I think he did a good job. He was up there all day. I mean, he was constantly pushing in the lead or in that lead group, and it just, when it came down to it at the end, was in the wrong, or put himself, I guess, in the wrong place at the wrong time.
But that car was squirrely all day, though. It literally just didn't look like it was comfortable getting pushed. It didn't look like it was comfortable being driven. It looked like a horse that wasn't really tame, right? You can ride it, but every once in a while the horse is like, nah, I don't like this. And
was that a Toyota thing too? Because I noticed that with the Ty Gibbs car, there were so many times where I thought for sure Gibbs was wrecking. He would get a bump and he would get so squirrely, and then he would straighten it out and they would keep going. So I don't know if that was something to do with when the Toyotas were getting pushed. Those were really the only two Toyotas we saw actually in the front. I mean, Hamlin was kind of up there all day pushing, but he wasn't necessarily leading much.
I feel like he was waiting. I feel like he wanted to be up front, but he just knew that his car wasn't gonna be able to.
And I think he was fine pushing Bubba, and then he could make his move late, and then things just didn't necessarily turn out where he wanted to be at the end. But
yes, and we'll talk about that in a second. We'll start going over our bets. We got to step away for another quick break, and then we'll start breaking down our bets from the actual Cup race itself. But let's tell you about Underdog Fantasy, because we're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. The NBA and NHL playoffs are here, and what better way to get down on some player prop parlays than over at Underdog Fantasy? Besides daily NHL, NBA, and MLB games, they've also already got NFL best ball drafts with a guaranteed $500,000 in prizes. Head over at UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. Part of SGPN's Draft Week, SGPN is holding a free NFL Draft Props contest exclusively for members of our Discord. As everything is with the SGPN, it's completely free to join, and the winner gets $250 cash and a $50 SGPN gift card. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord and go to the NFL channel for the sign-up link. Those of you watching out there right now live on YouTube, once again, thank you. We are very thrilled to be able to add this as a part of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast's arsenal, and the fact that you guys are in here chopping it up with us, love it to death. We love talking to you guys live, especially after a race, get all the raw reactions. If you're not a part of it already, join us at youtube.com, NASCAR Gambling Podcast. Find us there. Have fun with us. We continue to do it for you, and we love you very much. So stick around. We'll talk to you some more as we go through this. All right, Cody. Let's see. What did Samuel Smith say when we were on the break? He said Bubba got away jumping all the restarts. Did he, though? I guess I didn't pay much attention. I don't know.
And then his next comment here, he didn't notice it. We both clicked on at the same time. He didn't notice it personally, but until Almirola pointed out on the radio, I missed that completely. I don't know. I wasn't I guess I wasn't paying that close of attention to that, so I have to
On
be
the restarts.
something we'll have to go back and look at. By the way, too, this was just tweeted out by somebody. I saw it somewhere. NASCAR. An update. Blaine Perkins has been released from the hospital. It was concerning that he had to stay overnight at the hospital, but luckily he's been released. He was, of course, the driver of the O2 car in the Xfinity race. We'll get to the Xfinity race next, but I just saw that pop up over here, so figured I would share that. That's good news. Obviously, some big wrecks, some hard hits. I don't know if you saw that Kyle Larson car after that hit.
It was
holy shit. That was, I mean, I'm glad that wasn't on the driver's side because he fucked up that. And Priest said that's the hardest hit he's ever taken in a wreck. And, he's been racing for quite some time at this point.
Yeah. I mean, when your car is completely shredded to the point where all the inside, it's like gutted.
All the bars were bent and stuff. I would not be surprised. They did take Blaine Perkins' car to the R&D center. They when cars are wrecked that badly, they like to take a look at them. I wouldn't be surprised if Larson's car is also loaded onto the R&D truck. This time, not for maybe penalty purposes, but to analyze what went on in that wreck, because that was a fucking hard hit he took.
Yeah, this time it's not to try to penalize him. But,
right. Who knows? Maybe they'll find something.
I was going to say maybe.
I think when it's that torn up, it's pretty hard to find things that you could really penalize for, but who knows? All right, can we get into some bets, Rod?
Let's get into some bets. I know that our weekend started rather well, actually, as Denny Hamlin sits on top of the poll for Talladega to cash an 11-1 bet before the race even starts.
Yeah, great call by you. Man, I mean, that's our big hit of the week. And again, we told you with Superspeedway betting, go into this weekend planning to lose it all. You hit an 11-1. Thank you. Have a good night. We'll see you later. Oh, just kidding. Because that's it. It's all downhill from here.
I mean, it does start to go downhill from there. Just one question from Thugger real quick. Will we see the 4-car in victory lane this year? I don't know. I think we will.
We will. It's let's see. Phoenix, he's probably going to win his final race. Whether it's the championship, I don't know if he'll be in the championship, but I think he's going to win there. Go out on top in very good fashion. But he's been fast. He's had some really good cars. I mean, he should have won a couple of weeks ago. Was it Richmond where he had taken the lead late and then there was the caution? He kind of got screwed there. They go back to Richmond later this fall. He's always been good there. He's good everywhere. Obviously, we talk about him every week, but he's going to have some more chances. I think he'll find his way. He's going to be real close at least to getting there, but I think he'll be in contention throughout the rest of the season. So I hope we get to see him in victory lane one more time. Cherish it when we do, because that, could likely be the final time. So, but I do think that we will see him. He's been fast enough to get it done. We've seen some improvements over the last couple of weeks with Stuart Haas. They were pretty strong today. They were strong last week as well. And so, I think that they'll be all right. And even when they're not strong, Harvick's still good. But, so
very true.
Speaking of Stuart Haas drivers, I had Riley Herbst top 10 at plus 350. Threw him out there to win at 125-1. So I think that these were looking in the right direction, right? You look at a guy like Gilliland gets a top 10. JJ Yaley one spot out of the top 10. That's basically what I was hoping for, was more attrition. We didn't get that much attrition in this race until the very, very end. I mean, it was 5 laps left, and still I think every single car was still running, right? Had anybody gone out at that point? I don't think
nobody had gone out. Well,
because that was the wreck where Dylan went out. Yeah, was that last wreck. So it's and he's the guy who finished last. So because McDowell had spun early, he was fine, and then the Briscoe thing, but he was good still after that. So not enough attrition, I guess, to get Herbst up there, but he wasn't really strong all day for sure. It's he did not have the speed, which again, this was more of an attrition bet, so didn't hit, but that's all right. Also had AJ Allmendinger top 5 at plus 700. This one had legs for a minute. He came up there at the end and was in the top. I think he was third on that last restart or something like that. And I guess he probably must have got caught up in that last one, because where did he end up even finishing? He ended up 29th, and it says accident next to his name. So he obviously must have been in that final wreck. That was such a disaster. I couldn't tell who went where, and I was just waiting for the scoreboards to update. So, but again, we're just throwing darts out there trying to hit something. Some of these guys had chances at some of this stuff. Just these ones did not hit.
A lot of these were cashing at one point or another. The Herbst one didn't, and I actually gave Herbst out over Noah Gragson. That one hit thankfully, because Gragson, did Gragson things there at the end of the race. That was one of the ones that actually hit for me, was Riley Herbst over Gragson. You talked about Herbst finishing 25th. Gragson ended up finishing 32nd. But, Gragson wasn't even that good through the whole race until he got up to the front through the strategy call. And that was basically what got him there and what kind of kept him there. And cars that were in the front of the pack were able to stay with the front of the pack. It didn't really matter what was going on. There was nobody that was up there that was too slow for being up at the front of the pack. If you were up there, you were up there. So track position, they said it all day, was hard to come by. And once you found it, you got to keep it.
Yeah. Samuel Smith, Priest outright at Dover. No, thank you. I don't have a lot of faith betting in Priest to win these races. I don't have a lot of faith in Stuart Haas drivers not named Kevin Harvick. And a Hendrick car is going to win at Dover. Telling you right now. Kelly wants to know how big of a smile I had when I saw LaJoie behind Priest on the top line. They were coming. I got my guy LaJoie right here. Unfortunately, things didn't end well. We'll talk about him in a minute. But yes, he is my man crush Sunday. Always, Corey LaJoie. Next up for me, I had Kyle Busch over Kyle Larson, -120. I told you, 95% of the race wasn't going to be cashing, and it was not. But like we talked about at the top of the show, Kyle Larson always finds a way. This is why you fade him. Man, I could not have called it more perfectly, Rod. I said he was going to be up there all day. Guys in the Discord talking about he's going to end up winning this race. Here he comes. I knew it was coming. It came just like it always does. He cannot find his way around these wrecks. Kyle Busch just got lucky. I mean, he backed into the win, right? He likes to say that about Alex Bowman, but this was nothing more than backing in. But again, got to be there at the end. Put yourself in position. They made the right call, or mistakenly made the right call. Whatever happened there at the end with him ending up staying out, things went well. So the Kyle Busch Kyle Busch over Kyle Larson. I also gave out Eric Jones as the top Chevrolet, 20-1. Rod, he finishes in 6th place. The top Chevrolet that didn't win the race. Of course, Kyle Busch won the race in his Chevy. Unfortunately, then it was 4 Fords from 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And then Eric Jones in 6th. So, man, he was so close. I love to see Kyle Busch win. Of course, we were big on him going into the season. So that would have been, again, Superspeedway racing, right? That's how close you were to hitting a 20-1, was that one guy staying. If Kyle would have got collected in that, right? If Bubba comes down a little bit of a different angle, clips Busch in the back, guys go through, Blaney finally gets his win, stops being the bridesmaid, right? And then it ends up where Eric Jones will be your top Chevy at 20-1. I didn't hit that one, but Rod,
I hit Eric Jones as a top 10 car at +120. That was one that, I thought was looking good for a little bit. And then he just sort of got lost in the shuffle for a little while, then charged ahead on that third line, was making that third line work for a little bit. And then of course faded back. And then by the end of everything, here's Eric Jones in 6th place, cashing another plus money bet for the weekend.
Yep. Yeah. And it was, again, great call. He has been, hasn't he finished 6th here, 3 races in a row now, or 3 of the last 4?
Remember, I told you.
Yeah. We need to get an exact the fall here. Eric Jones, man, that's pretty good. So shout out to you on calling that. So close on him, top Chevy. I had Austin Hill, Group C, +700. This was Brad Larson, Kyle Busch, Austin Cindric, Chase Briscoe. Most of those guys ended up finishing decent again. It was just, I was trying to pick a group with a guy that had big number, hoping that he survived the chaos. Austin Hill did not survive the chaos. He got caught up. I think he ended up running at the end, but he was involved in that final. Ended up 23rd. So, again, darts. That's all we're doing here, Rod. Darts. And this dart missed. I told you you'd beat Kyle Larson, and guess what happened?
You were absolutely right on that one. All right, Mole, my dart involved Blaney and Stenhouse both being inside the top 10. Obviously, we know Blaney was inside the top 10 safely, finished 2nd. Stenhouse, 16th, but man, he was in the top 10 for a while. He had that third lane going. It was just, I thought for a while he was going to stick in the top 10. I was so excited about it. Our boy Ry Crape was already in the Discord talking about all that good stuff going on. But yeah, it was so close. Stenhouse was in and out of that top 10 all day long. And I thought for sure that he was going to be able to find his way back in there after all that chaos. Fortunately, he was not. Finished at 16th. 6 places out of cashing this.
Yeah, again, it's looked pretty good. Him and LaJoy were hooked up on the top. They were really trying to get that line going. They couldn't get enough people to commit, and then it kept falling apart. I was hoping, and some guys were talking about it in the Discord too, like as it was coming, once it started to gain steam, I was hoping Elliott would jump out there, and I'm sitting there screaming like, "Go, Elliott, go, go, go!" Oh, you fucking missed it. What are you doing? Like, just go, because if you get a good car like that up there, I think that line could have taken off. Might have been a completely different result here. Kelly says new addition for auto bets for Dega. Of course, Larson to lose to everyone, and Eric Jones top 10. He's been pretty good because I think that's 4 in a row now, because I think his other was a 9th place finish. So yeah, Eric Jones just good at Talladega. One of those guys we're gonna have to always keep an eye on when we go here. So yeah, you were really close on hitting that one. These next two really had no chance all day. I had Michael McDowell top 4 at 20-1. Lap 2, he gets a flat tire, spins out, breaks the toe link, and then you would see him every once in a while. Here comes the field, there goes the yellow car. Here comes the field, there goes the yellow car, and he never had a chance to recover. And normally that bet wouldn't have been lost right away because he could have been able to recover. Usually you get a couple quick cautions. He gets a lucky dog a couple of times. Things work out. I think it ended up, if it hadn't been for the Briscoe issue, where Briscoe and him ended up 2 laps down at the same time, Briscoe ends up getting those laps back instead of McDowell. And then look, Briscoe ends up in the top 5. So this could have easily gone the other way for McDowell. Also had Zane Smith at 35-1. He got caught up. Where did he? Yeah, he ended up 37th. He was in that first big wreck with what was it, 5 or 6 laps to go with Austin Dillon. He got hammered in that one, and yeah, his day was over there. So he wasn't really in contention all day. He wasn't necessarily up towards the top. Again, these guys were McDowell. You kind of can expect to be in the mix, but you didn't get a chance to see it. Zane, you were hoping for the attrition. He ended up being the attrition. That's super speedway racing for you.
Well, and for what it's worth, McDowell, man, it was like as soon as McDowell had that trouble, I think, well, we're already in for it. Like this is already an extension of the Xfinity weekend. Rolling with it.
That's when you thought too, like, oh boy, okay, lap 2. First of all, how nobody else hit him was crazy because that could have been a big one on lap 2. Ended a bunch of days, and then you just thought for sure, like, okay, here it comes. We're gonna have a bunch of wrecks today, and then it was a lot of green flag racing for a lot of time. Yeah, but it just, that's how it falls, and that's what happens.
Just to get back to Eric Jones, his last 3 finishes have been 6, 6, 6. If you're scared of the 666, that's on you. But yeah, so a 9th place to 6th place, and 3 6th place finishes for Eric Jones. I love the auto bet, searching for profit on that for sure. All right, I had Ty Gibbs over, what is it, JJ Haley, right? Justin,
I think that's what you called him, JJ Haley.
Yeah, JJ Haley. No, I had Gibbs over Haley. Freaking gas mileage, man. What on God's green earth? Gibbs would have at least been somewhere up there if he hadn't run out of gas.
And that didn't make sense to me because, like, everybody was very clear the 54 did not have enough.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand why he stayed out. I mean, it worked for some guys. I get it. Kyle Busch stayed out. He ends up winning the race. But everybody was like, at one point, I think it was Denny's spotter had said to him, okay, the 12, and I guess the 12 made it, but the 12 doesn't have enough. The 54 doesn't have enough. So, yeah, man, he had his chance. He looked good, but, yeah. So you were cashing this for a while, but Haley ends up getting a respectable finish enough. And the fuel mileage, at one point, I thought we were going to turn into an actual fuel mileage race. Like, the guys were going to start falling out on the last 2 laps, and somebody wins a super speedway race in it. But, yeah, craziness. I had Corey LaJoie's corner. Nothing went well in this corner. Top Chevy 30-1, top 10, top 5, top 3 to win. Yeah, none of these hit, obviously.
Wait. So we went from this to this.
That's an accurate representation. But LaJoie had his flashes, right? He was trying to get that line going, much like Parker Kligerman when we had him earlier in the season. Like, was trying to do something, kept jumping out of line, kept doing things. And again, Joey Logano, if he doesn't, I don't know what Joey was exactly doing there. And I don't know if he just lost the air with the 36 underneath of him, what happened, or 38, whichever car that was. And things just went whack for him, and he ends up hitting the wall right in front of Corey. Corey's got nowhere to go. If that doesn't happen, though, Corey easily could have missed this stuff at the end, been in contention. The next super speedway race, I believe, is Atlanta again. 100%. I will have all these bets again on Corey LaJoie. If you can place them now, go ahead and make them. Maybe he'll drop a little bit more in the odds since he didn't do good here at Talladega. But bet Corey LaJoie on super speedways. I will never depart from that strategy.
No, you will not.
I'm willing to change some things, Rod, but not my Corey LaJoie stance.
I love it. Just hitting the Discord real quick. Today, Trash One says the 3 guys I bet on to win the race finished top 5, but did not win. It was his first time betting NASCAR. Is that
damn.
Unlucky?
That's
look,
super speedway
racing, buddy. We're just gonna go ahead and say that exactly it because that's
we'll talk about this when we get to the Xfinity race. But
yes.
with let's see where I got it right here. 6 laps to go. I had a 40-1 leading the race, 35-1 in second place, 16-1 in sixth place, and 18-1 in 10th place with 6 laps to go. None of the 4 of them, well, I guess 2 of them finished the race, but they were all caught up in a wreck within 2 laps after that. It just it sucked.
It was not good.
Yeah.
And then as far as winners are concerned, I mean, we've talked about all these guys throughout it. Both me and you had Elliott somewhere in the mix to win this. And then I also threw in Hamlin, Elliott as a Quinella. Those guys were running back to back at the very, in and around the last few laps of the race. And I thought, oh man, Danny's going to peel off. Chase is going to peel off. Something's going to happen and this is going to hit, right?
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it had a chance. And Kelly here pointed out, I think if Logano and Chase had hooked up on the outside like they should have earlier, that's what I don't understand sometimes is you have 2 guys. Those are 2 guys in elite equipment that are very, very good super speedway racers. Why do they not try harder? I mean, I get one to work with Corey LaJoie. I get that Stenhouse is back there. But if you're Joey Logano and you look up and you see Chase Elliott and you both need to get up front, have your guys talk and be like, hey, 2 of the best super speedway racers, let's go. I don't understand why that doesn't happen more. I get it's a Chevy, it's a Ford. But, man, it just you would wish it would happen more. Samuel Smith, you can take the ghillie out of his car, but you can't take him out of the top 10. That is very good. Yes, he's, man, a guy we might need to start looking at his top 10 odds more, just on even more regular tracks. I know coming up on a road course again, we're going to have to watch that because he's been popping up, having some good runs there. Racing for his life, racing for his career, right? So, he's going to be a guy to keep an eye on. Yeah, my winners, I had Chase Elliott. He ends up with a decent finish. He was kind of in the mix all day. Won stage 1, second place in stage 2. That's what you're kind of looking for from a guy like that. Brad Keselowski, 15-1. He ends up in the top 5. So things could have gone a little bit differently there at the end, and maybe it would have worked out in his favor. Austin Dillon, 30-1. He ended up finishing dead last, but again, was still in the mix with a couple laps to go. He got caught up in that. And Ty Gibbs, 60-1. Man, I was feeling really good about that because he was up front a good majority of the second half of that race. I figured at some point things would go wrong. Just he's a rookie driver. It's going to happen. We saw it with Gregson. But and then I had the Quinella of Harvick and Brad at 90-1. I mean, Harvick was up there at the end for a long time. He ended up coming in for fuel at the end there and then ended up finishing 21st, but Brad finishes 5th. So those guys were both running up there at least throughout the night. So I didn't feel too bad about having that at 90-1.
I unofficially gave out Ryan Preece. Remember, I unofficially gave out Ryan Preece there for a win. And I mean, look, man, he led a couple laps. It was not necessarily out of the realm of possibility that he could try to win this race. He was leading a couple of the charges in that third lane. He was in that third lane a few times. Like there was a reasonable expectation to think that Preece could have pulled this off as well if something had gone differently. But yeah, unfortunately, he ended up with a munch day as well. But yeah, I mean, a couple points, Preece looked like the car to steal a win, quite possibly, and he was 60-1 at that point. Yeah.
I mean, again, it was a good call. He looked good throughout the day. The Fords were fast. Everybody though had their time, right? The Fords looked good early. Chevrolet was up there for a bit. The Toyotas, I mean, Bubba and Gibbs, Hamlin was kind of in the mix all day. So again, super speedways, I think everybody's got a fair shot. I think we've kind of talked about that before, but yeah, it's man, what a race, Rod. But again, the 2 things about super speedways: fade Kyle Larson, it worked. You took him in head-to-heads. You likely cashed a good portion of them, and your bets are going to go up in flames, and that's what happens. We're so close on a few things. Eric Jones 20-1. I mean, that flips your day just like that if we hit that. I know a few guys in the Discord did have Bush. I think he was 18-1 or so. So props to them. But man, just super speedway racing, Rod. That's what you expect it to be. How it turns out. What do you do?
Yeah, I don't know what you do at this point. You just cry into your whatever drink of choice that you have and go from there. Any questions from anybody out there before we transition over into the Xfinity race? Because again, a lot to talk about there, a lot of bets to break down. Obviously just a very rough weekend overall, because we knew exactly what we were getting into. Sad that we didn't have trucks this weekend. Obviously, they are going to go there.
Somebody had mentioned that. I was trying to go back up and see. I think it might have been Thugger, but excited to see the trucks here in the fall. Yeah, it was Thugger. Definitely excited for trucks here in the fall. That's always a good race. We've had some pretty crazy winners. I have to go back and look, but I think, was it one of the young trucks won there like 125-1 a couple years ago. Been some pretty crazy finishes in the trucks. They're always fun on super speedways, so that will be a good time. But I think we could probably move on to Xfinity now.
All right, let's move on to that Ag Pro 300, which offered some excitement right out of the gate. This Cody, listen, at one point in this race, every single one of our bets were cashing, and sometimes almost all of them at once. Right?
Yes, this looked like the race. We were going to make some fucking money until Daniel Hemrick, now banned from the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
Yeah.
If Rod at any point brings him up, I will be leaving the show. Just kidding. I'm not leaving.
No, listen, if I bring him up at any point, Cody's looking for a new co-host. So applications will start.
Or you're looking for a new co-host, one way or the other. Don't bring up Daniel Hemrick anymore. God damn it.
I already said it, but I still don't think that was his fault.
It was 100% his fault. Don't throw a block like that late.
That's true.
Kelly says Hemrick is a cuck. I agree with you. 100%.
I feel like autocorrect may have.
Fuck that guy. I think he was going. I think he found the word he was looking for. But man, this race. Holy shit, Rod. Let's just break down the top 10. Jeb Burton wins it. Great. Good for him. Sheldon Creed or Ryan Blaney? Which one is going to break through and finally get the win first? Like, these guys have been the ultimate bridesmaids week in and week out. Good cars, good runs. Cannot get these wins. It's been rough for both of them. Parker Kligerman, it worked. Reverse the curse. I didn't bet on him on purpose. He finishes third. Cole Custer shows up with a fourth place. Then it's when it gets fun. Brennan Poole, Caesar Baccarella, Parker Retzloff, Gray Galding, Joey Gase, Josh Williams, new fan favorite. He finishes 10th. Ryan Ellis, CJ McLaughlin ends up with the 13th place.
Kyle Sieg.
Yeah, Kyle Sieg with a 15th place. Garrett Smithley with the 16th run. Some names you not used to seeing up here. Granted, those were the only cars left, but like we say about Super Speedway, Rod, you got to survive till the end. That's what happened with these guys. This race was full of chaos, full of wrecks, cars flipping multiple wrecks where guys flipped in this race. Some hard hits to the inside wall. I know on that wreck where Perkins flipped, somebody else, like whoever was in the 66, slid down and smacked the inside wall really hard. Like, just a crazy day, full of wrecks, full of chaos, dumbasses leading the race and wrecking the entire field. Everything was crazy.
That was Dexter Stacy in the 66, yes. By the way, just to give credit where credit's due. 18 cars on actually running at the end of this race. From about 21st on down, everybody was involved in some sort of crash or transmission problems for Jeffrey Earnhardt. But everybody, from 21st on down, basically just has that gigantic crash by its name. Yep. And you're right. It was like one line of cars finishing this race. It was so frustrating.
I saw multiple DFS lineup screenshots where every single car was upside down. On the DFS thing where on DraftKings it shows you, everybody's upside down. Like, that's Kelly here. Kudos to build and safety on these cars, though. Pretty much everybody walking away from these horrific wrecks between the car safety, between the track safety, the walls. I mean, and shout out to University of Nebraska, actually created the safer barrier wall that came into place after the Dale Earnhardt fatal wreck. But yeah, it's the safety in all of motorsport. We see it in F1. There's been some horrific wrecks. IndyCar, there's been some crazy wrecks. Like the safety in motorsports these days, and unfortunately, we just saw it. I think it was 2 weeks ago in the dirt world. We lost a micro sprint driver or whatever, and it still happens, and it's unfortunate. But the safety and how far things have come from back in the day. I mean, we would lose multiple drivers every year between the top 3 series, and I was just part of racing, and it just was how it worked. And now, knock on wood, these guys for the most part walk away. Jordan Anderson, if you remember last year at Talladega, in that crazy truck fire where he almost jumped out of the truck, where it would have pinned him between the wall and the truck. And then he ends up in victory lane on Saturday as a car owner in the Xfinity Series. Like, just everything about how much safety has gone into all these cars, into these tracks, the quick responses of the care workers, and the doctors on site for the infield care center. Everything about it is all great. So yeah, it is amazing how far it's come, from back in the day when things were a lot different.
Although, shout out to my daughter, my oldest daughter. We were watching it, and a couple of her friends were around, and other friends were around, and one of those wrecks happened. And so my daughter says, "Yeah, actually, it's good that he's fine because a few years ago we lost one of the better racers in all of the." And I was like, "This is my 15-year-old daughter explaining to her friends about the wreck that killed Dale Earnhardt," and yet, all these drivers. I was like, I love you.
Wow, you're doing a good job over there, Rod. Father of the Year award for Rod.
Thank you. I was very excited that she was doing that on her own volition. I loved it. Although Sam Smith wants to know, do all of the chassis look the same? Ford's front clip is the most rounded of the 3. The car was going to T-bone. Would it have been worse for a Toyota or a Chevy front clip? I'm talking about that on the broadcast, as far as they were trying to offset this front bumper with the rear bumper, and I don't know that it would have been any worse for any of them, because at those high speeds, almost kind of doesn't matter what you're working with, right?
They are. I mean, and I think that's really the only difference in the actual chassis is, the front and rear clip, and it is slightly different. Of course, they were talking about that with as far as pushing and bumping and stuff, but they're fairly similar. I don't think they're that much different. And in a wreck like that, you're going there. That's a fast hit. That's a hard hit. I don't know that it matters what the front clip looks like on that car. It's going to create a lot of damage.
Yeah, it will. All right, well, let's start talking about some of these bets that we made. Just out of all necessity and full disclosure of this show. Sometimes, Cody, I hate that we're as transparent as we are.
I know it sucks to dwell on some of these losing bets, but I'm going to take advantage of this time to complain some more about Daniel Hemrick. I had Riley Herbst top 5 plus 225. I think it was that wreck that he was caught up in. Maybe it was one of the other. I cannot remember who was caught up in which wrecks. I know 4 drivers that were caught up in a certain wreck. We'll get to that in a minute. But otherwise, the whole day was just a mess. Herbst caught up in one of the wrecks. Looked good early on, and then caught up top 5 plus 225. Doesn't hit, unfortunately, but Superspeedway racing. That's my excuse for all of these is Superspeedway racing.
Superspeedway racing for sure. This is another casualty of my first bet, which was Anthony Alfredo as a top 5 car at plus 500. For the love of God, he starts in 6th place. He runs around to the front. I'm thinking to myself, I cannot believe that I'm going to get Anthony Alfredo as a top 5 car by the end of this. Lap 37 happens, and all of a sudden, the 10 car, the 24 car, the 31 car, and the 78 car all get collected and take out my dreams of Anthony Alfredo finishing as a top 5 car for this race.
How about the speed, though, in qualifying for him to start 6th place in a BJ McLeod car? Like, that alone, impressive, very impressive. Yeah, he was running very good.
How about leading 5 laps?
Yeah, he was up front. I mean, he was up in the mix. He was not happy in his post-race interview, mentioning, that some of these guys shouldn't be out there. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was pretty funny.
Kids not used to running in first place or around the front. Yeah,
kids that don't deserve to be running up front, something like that.
Or this speed. Happy. This speed, I think, is what it ended up being.
Yeah. Ryan Sieg, top 5 plus 500. Group B winner plus 500. gosh, how many do you have in front of you? How many laps Ryan Sieg led in this race, Rod?
Ryan
Because
Sieg led 18 laps of this
18
race.
he was up front all goddamn day running well, and then Daniel Hemrick happened, and all of these bets were voided and did not do. But I mean, other than wrecking late, he was getting a top 5. Like he was going to be in the mix. He was going to be up front. I had him 40-1 to win too. We'll get to that in a minute, but he had a very good shot at winning this race. I think he could have cashed his top 5. The group bet ends up being, Kligerman and Jeb Burton end up being in it. Brett Moffitt, Moffitt was running up there at the end as well. Jeb obviously wins. Kligerman finishes 3rd. So maybe you don't cash the group bet, but the top 5 for sure was looking very solid. Man.
Gosh, I mean, what can you do at that point? And Samuel Smith says Talladega New Sieg was there. He had him at 40-1. Frustrating all around.
Same. I did too. God damn it, Daniel Hemrick.
All right, so I had Hemrick as a top 3 car at plus 425. Lo and behold, this was actually cashing for a better part of the race.
Don't ever bet on this clown again.
I already said it in the Discord. I'm now placing myself in a Daniel Hemrick timeout. You will no longer see Daniel Hemrick bets.
I'm placing Daniel Hemrick in timeout.
And he's probably going to need to be there.
He cost me so much money this weekend. Oh,
a lot of people.
Man, just so frustrated with the guy.
But, okay, to close the book on him, I had him as a top 3 plus 425. I would have.
Kelly's back. Hemrick
just
equals
to drive the point home, Hemrick equals cuck. Yes, we believe it. All right, we won't belittle the Hemrick thing anymore.
On from
Move on to your next one.
I had Jeffrey Earnhardt top 5 plus 700. This one didn't really stand a chance. He had some transmission troubles early. He ended up finishing like 40 laps down or 50 laps down. So yeah, just again, good mechanical issues. Not much you can do about that. You see some of the names that finished up front here at the end. Jeffrey Earnhardt easily could have gotten a good finish had he had the chance to, if he avoids the wrecks like maybe I had hoped. But yeah, unfortunately, transmission issues uncashed this bet early or canceled it, whatever the hell you want to call it. This bet wasn't going to hit.
Tough to handicap electrical issues. That's out of your concern. All right, my next one hit. I had Jeb Burton over Parker Kligerman at minus 105. It was only 2 spots. This ended up being another one of those head-to-heads that were really close.
Yeah, boy, they hit this one good, huh?
Yeah. So obviously Jeb Burton wins the race, Parker Kligerman. But listen, by all rights and accounts, this one was cashing all day anyways. Like Kligerman was nowhere. He started 38th. He started in the back. He did, I mean, obviously find his way to 3rd place, which is good, but he was running around the back for a better part of this race. There wasn't much to make me think that he was going to be there at the end. He was running in the top 10 at the end of stage 1, but again, that was a lot of strategy calls and all that stuff that kept him out. But yeah, so this one wasn't in any danger, except maybe toward the end, and the fact that Burton missed all that chaos ended up cashing it. Yeah,
and Burton, another guy, gets it from his dad, right? His dad, Ward, won the 2002 Daytona 500, so man, just super speedway racing sometimes is in the blood. Bill Elliott, good on super speedways. Chase Elliott, good on super speedways. The Earnhardt family, obviously, you don't have to hash that, like, literally the best ever on super speedways in both cases, right? So yeah, just runs of the family, I guess. Shout out to Burton for winning and cashing that bet for you. I had Parker Retzlaff over Parker Chase, minus 120, 37 laps into the race. They both wreck. Luckily, Retzlaff was able to continue. Chase was not. So Retzlaff cashed this bet. And actually, Retzlaff ends up coming back and getting, where'd he finish? Decent 7th place. So, and he started 4th too. He was fast in qualifying. The other Jordan Anderson car in this race. Very good day for Anderson. Obviously, they win and finish in 7th. So yeah, look, cash this one nice and early. 37 laps into the race, both wreck, and it was, hold my breath for a minute. I'm like, oh, which one slid farther, right? And then Retzlaff able to continue rolling. So that was luck.
Burton, Sam Smith says, Burton tell Gragson that he would dog F him after an SS race last year lives in my mind. I'm telling you right now, man, Gragson has been involved in some serious beefs in NASCAR. They were just talking about it earlier too with him and Harrison Burton.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those guys not friends, and of course, Burton, I'd have to go back and look at that one again too. I think that was probably a little bit on Gragson as well. But yeah, the dog F comment was absolutely epic one to look back on.
All right, I had Allgaier over Custer at -110. Maybe as much as I have to lay off the Hemrick, I'm definitely
I think we found the third commandment for super speedway races for the time being.
Bet Junior Motors.
Don't bet Junior Motors. And again, not just super speedways. I am done with Junior Motorsports until I see something differently. Holy shit! All three of the four, all involved in one single wreck.
Again.
And Dale Jr. Somebody tweeted out. I can't remember who it was. Somebody tweeted out the gif of the guy shoveling money into the furnace, and Dale Jr. retweeted and said, "I tweeted this a few years ago. I'm just over it at this point." Like, man, these JRM guys cannot stay out of their own way, and they look good at points. Like Allgaier was up front. They're talking about he's never won at a super speedway, but he's looking strong today. Barry was up there. No, Kelly and I are becoming quickly best friends today. Fourth commandment, don't mention Daniel Hemrick ever again. I am fine with that. That could be actually the top commandment on the show forever.
We may have 10 by the end of this. 10 super speedway.
Yeah, we might be all the way up to 10.
Oh my God. Let's come up with that, and then we make a t-shirt out of that. That's merch idea right there.
There you go. Submit your ideas for commandments for super speedway racing.
And they'll show up on a merch shirt. I love it.
That would be great. Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. Anyways, so yeah, but JRM, just stay off of them. Until they can figure their shit out. Sam Mayer again, dude. Sam Mayer, he is really good at super speed. Once he figures it out, if he can figure out how to finish at super speedway races, he's gonna win. He's gonna have good finishes, but he is always good and always fucks it up some way or somehow. And he did it again this week. It just, man, these JRM cars, I cannot trust them, period, right now.
And for Cole Custer's sake, man, he wasn't even an issue for much of this race. Like, he was one of those again, he was one of the guys that survived. Yep. And unfortunately, I didn't think that he was going to survive. I thought Allgaier would. He won stage 1. He was 10th at the end of stage 2. He was running around the front, and I thought this was going to cash. I thought all my head-to-heads were going to cash. And then it didn't.
He was the most innocent JRM car, too. He's on the bottom, and then they just
in his own business.
Boom, right into him, take him out. JRM on JRM crime strikes again. Ugh. I had Brett Moffitt over Derek Kraus. This one actually, I think, did cash. Yeah, Moffitt finishes in 12th, and Kraus had got taken out one of the wrecks earlier, 27th. Moffitt, though, running up front all day long, had a chance. He was one of those guys with, was it 6 laps to go? He was in second place to Ryan Sieg. Also had money on him to win. Also involved in the Daniel Hemrick crash. Again, fuck you, Daniel Hemrick. That's just we've yeah, it's devolved to that point.
I can't wait to see this shirt though. I have a great idea for it. The 10 Commandments shirt.
So if you're listening on the podcast, send us your ideas for the rest of the commandments, because we will we need to have them on like tables, the whole thing.
We'll have it before Atlanta.
Okay.
Yes. All right, so I had the winning car as even. Obviously, we know Jeb Burton was 27, but listen, Creed was 2. That's even. Kligerman is 48. That's even. Cole Custer was 00. I believe we came down on the fact that that's even. Brendan Poole was 6. He's even. Gary Galding, 8. He's even. That's 5 cars so far in the top 10. 92, Josh Williams. That's 6 out of the 10 cars. And if anything would have happened and one of those cars would have finished instead of Jeb Burton, that would have cashed. So the odds were in our favor, except for the one car that crossed the finish line first.
Yes. Speaking of odds being in your favor, my winners on the day, Rod, 6 laps to go. Ryan Sieg got 40-1 in first place, led 18 laps. Looking good. He's definitely going to have a chance to win this race. Second place, Brett Moffitt, 35-1. Whew. Again. There is a lot of luck involved in this, but there are some skills in picking the right guys. These guys were up there. They were doing good. In 6th place, Brian Truex at 16-1. And in 10th place, Riley Herbst at 18-1. All 4 of my winners, all 16-1 or more, running 1, 2, 6, and 10. the 40-1 leading, the 35-1 in second place. What could go wrong, Rod? Daniel Hemrick could go wrong. He did go wrong. He wiped out half the field, killed all 4 of these bets in one quick swipe, and just ruined my Saturday. Man, this was looking like we were going to be cashing some big bets. I already had my Ryan Sieg party planned, and Daniel Hemrick just fucked everything.
Well, listen, I already told you I'm done. We're no more.
Here you go. The JDK has a good idea. Can we refer to Hemrick as either the douche or the 11? We do need to come up with a he who shall not be named. Maybe
fine. What is it? Voldemort at Harry Potter. We'll just call him. Yeah, we'll just call him the 11. That's
11. His name no longer deserves to be spoken on this program.
It is the 11. All right. Well, speaking of the 11, he was running in the vicinity of my guy, John Hunter Nemechek, who crashed out of the race. Listen. Okay. Thank you, Searcher for Profit. I am definitely the one to blame for all of the 11's nonsense. And you did good. You brought his name up. You already broke the commandment. We have to think of punishments for the commandment being broken.
Yes.
But yeah, anyway, so my winner, John Hunter Nemechek, was the guy that I called. So he was so damn fast, and he just pulled up and tried to move up a block up at the front, couldn't pull it off, got wrecked, hit the wall pretty hard too. That back end hit the wall pretty solid.
There were some violent inside wall hits. I don't know if you saw Harrison Burton on one of those. I don't remember which wreck at the end there. It might have been the first one, but one of them, he slid down and smacked the wall as well. Like, geez, there was some hard hits on the inside, and yeah, Hemrick God, he's haunting my.
Can I mute you from here?
He's haunting my mind at this point. I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
I can do that. Watch. Oh yeah, there it is. Timeout. I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna have nightmares tonight of Hemrick. It's gonna be him in the I don't know, in the Reaper coming to haunt me in my dreams or something. But anyways, as I was trying to say, John Hunter Nemechek, just one of those deals. I've been there in iRacing. Somebody just punts you right from the lead. You're the only car that spins and smashes the wall, and your day's over.
Yeah, but it wasn't even. I mean, look, the whole thing is that he got. I think they just got the air taken out from underneath him. He tried to pull up, and his car stepped out on him, and that was really all it was.
Yeah. It is crazy to see how much the air just. I mean, sometimes these guys think they get turned, or it looks like they got hit, and they don't. It's just the air gets taken off correct, in the wrong angle or whatever, and it just spins them out like that, and then day over. And yeah, that was rough, but it looked like a good bet for a while because he was running up front all day. He was fast. He looked good, just like Ryan Sieg did. But oh well, here we are.
We're not bitter at all.
Hey, but really we're not, because it's super speedway racing. Like, this is what we talked about, and this is why, right? You still bet because it's there. Like, I had Sieg 40-1. I had Moffitt 25-1. Like, I almost cashed those bets, and had I did, like, this would have been so much more fun. But I expected not to hit them. They didn't hit, and it's just super speedway racing. Like, that's how it goes. That's why those guys have a chance, because anything can happen. If you had a guy like Jeb Burton, he was a little bit longer odds. If you had a guy like Kyle Busch, props to you again. Just go bet on whoever for these races, because it's going to end up this way. This is 100% what we expected. We were close on a couple things. You hit your 11-1 on Hamlin to win the pole. Props to you on that. That was a great call out. And it just, everything else was close, had legs on a lot of the stuff. Some of the stuff was done early, the McDowell bets, the Earnhardt bet, but some of it had its chances. Eric Jones at the end there almost got the 20-1 for us. It's super speedway racing, Rod. It's how it goes. We're going to have the same conversation again when we go to Atlanta in a couple of weeks. We'll have the same conversation when we go to Daytona at the end of the regular season. We'll have the same conversation for Talladega in the fall. We'll have the same conversation next year for the Daytona 500. It's going to be the same conversation every single time, probably until the end of time, because that's how super speedway racing is.
And yet it's a conversation we'll continue to love to have with you guys, as we always do.
We're going to look forward to these weekends every time because it's so much fun.
Yeah, we are. All right. That's about it. Unless everybody else has got anything else out there in the YouTube world, we'll take a couple more questions if you have them. But if not, we'll put a pin in Talladega. We'll move on to Dover, to the Monster Mile, where about the complete opposite. of Talladega as you can get. Definitely a much different track and a much different skill set for this. You already talked about it. A Hendrick car will probably end up winning Dover because that's the way it happens.
That's my early lean. I'm holding my breath as Kelly types final thing here. But no, I think, yeah, obviously we'll dig into Dover. We'll have our bets show out on Tuesday like usual. Yes, perfect way to end the show, Kelly. Thank you. Fuck he who shall not be named. I edited that part, but had to do it one more time. Even had the middle finger emoji. Wow. Jeez, you fucked up everybody's Saturday. Just, think of other people besides yourself in the future. Would you not mind doing that, please?
Oh, and by the way, we're glad you're okay. We know that's the hardest hit that you had.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, the JDK calling his shot now. KFB back to back. I don't hate that. Again, RCR not good here last year. I need to dig into more and see I guess Kyle Busch's history and stuff. But the Big Mo, as Larry Mack called it on the show, I heard that today. I was like, that's right. Larry Mack's on the train of momentum counts, and it does, for the record. But yeah, I'm excited. Moving on to the Monster Mile. It's only a mile-long track, but it's one of the faster tracks. Like we talked about this in the Discord, but there's no wet weather package, even though it's only a mile long, because it is a very fast track. Usually ends up being some big wrecks on that just because the speeds they're going. It's a fun track. Going to be fun to break down. I'm excited. Hopefully we'll get back on the wagon with some winners. No Truck Series again this week. That part kind of sucks, but we'll make up for it anyways. Hit Xfinity hard, hit the Cup Series hard, and then on to Kansas, Rod. I'm excited. I'm going to be there for the ARCA race, the truck race, and the Cup race. Full weekend. That's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're planning on being at Kansas Speedway, hit me up. Try and meet up with some people if you're around. It can be a good time. I'm excited for that.
Will be a lot of fun next week for sure. All right. Well, as we close the door on Talladega, thank God we're all safe. We didn't get caught up in the big one. Thank you guys for joining us. Love you guys so much. Love being in this. JDK, one more time. You guys are top.
I don't know if that's a compliment or.
Hey, listen.
And make losing money a great time. I guess if we can't win it, we got to make it fun, right?
All I'm saying is that you're paying for admission, I guess, is really what it all ends up being, right? You pay for entertainment. This is what you're paying for entertainment.
That's right. Yeah. Again, it was expected. We all had fun sweating it out. I mean, geez, the Discord was fun this whole weekend. It was a great time. It's a compliment, he says. I know it was, but it was funny anyways. So yeah, no. But anyways, we should probably get out of here. You can find all my work on Twitter at Husker_Zeeb. I got a 3-round NFL mock draft out over there. Go check that out. IndyCar is going to be back this coming weekend. I'll have my picks posted over there. Make sure you check that out. Get in the IndyCar channel as well in the Discord. That's a bit of a slower moving channel. We're trying to get there on that one, but had some fun sweating out IndyCar bets last couple of weeks as well. So good time. I'm excited to move on. Put Superspeedway Dega in the rearview mirror. Get on to a hopefully more predictable track.
Hope so. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on. Whether it is here, you can find a rare article for me up on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. I've got NFL draft props for you to take part in if you want to do so. A little bit easier, I think, to handicap than a super speedway, but get on there for that.
I don't know. This draft is going to be crazy.
This is true. But of course, follow me also on In Between Media's Back Road. We are on there every other Thursday, at least for me. They're on there every Thursday. Check them out as well. We'll be back again with another episode to break down the Cup race once the odds come out, hopefully sooner rather than later. But in the meantime, enjoy this episode. Thank you for joining us once more. Let's go racing and let it ride.